Hi, I'm Maya, and this is the channel Bookworm Dreams. This is a start of a new reading vlog. I have been inspired by Gavin from Gavin Reads. He has a series on his channel where he tackles the Reddit Fantasy Bingo Reading Challenge. So he's doing it like row by row. I'm not going to do that, but I am going to spend this week focusing more on my Reddit Fantasy Bingo Challenge TBR. For you who don't know, this is a reading challenge created on the subreddit Fantasy, in which you have a bingo card with 25 prompts. The rules are you have to read a book per prompt, and you can't repeat an author. You have one reread, and there is also easy mode and hard mode. I'm usually doing easy mode. If you were to sort of make a schedule of reading things so you could finish the challenge in its allotted time, I should have read 14 books so far. I have read 10, which is great, which I think I'm doing well compared to previous couple of years. So here are all the books that I've read, all the prompts that I have completed. And I'm not going to follow Gavin's example and go row by row because I looked at the TBR I created and those books aren't really calling me. But I do have several books that I'm very interested to read. One that I'm interested to finish because I started it in March in the previous reading challenge. But one of the prompts of this year's reading challenge is to recycle a prompt. So I just picked the book that I started in March. I was like, I'll finish it. I haven't still. It's November. And that book is Darkwater Daughter by H.M. Long. What do I remember? It's a fantasy in which we follow several characters. One of them is she's a storm singer of sorts. She has magic where when she sings, she can control the weather. And I think I've gotten to 33% of the audiobook before I stopped. And in those 33%, we saw sort of what happened to her mother, how she ended up being captured by people who have ships, so pirates, and how she was used and abused for her power. So then the character we follow was working hard so that wouldn't happen to her, but she failed and that happened to her. So she's been captured by some pirates and they're off to do stuff. I think they're looking for a treasure, as pirates do. The other character we follow is like a Navy captain, but he's undercover, or was undercover, trying to find these evil pirate guy. But he failed and now something's happened. I don't remember. I will see when I start listening to it again whether I have to go back an hour or so just to remind myself what's happening. Yeah, so that's one book on my TBR for this week. The other book I have is this one, Drop of Corruption. Honestly, don't remember which prompt this is, but it'll be here. This is book 2 in the Leviathan series, I want to say. So this is a fantasy mystery book in which we follow a Sherlock Watson pair. Our Sherlock pair is Anna. Anna has basically, she's a great detective. She has removed herself from the world, and so she sends her assistant out in the world to collect evidence and collect statements to do the investigating, and he basically brings the investigation to her and she comes up with conclusions. And in this one, I think it's a locked room mystery, if I remember correctly. So in this one, an impossible crime has occurred. A treasury officer has vanished, abducted from an impenetrable tower. All right, so we'll see what happens here. Also, while they're doing this, they live in a town that has high walls, that is settled on the coast. And they are attacked by leviathans. Leviathans are huge sea creatures. And during some season of the year, the leviathans basically want to climb the city and destroy it. So there is always a threat of that happening. At least that was in the first book. So I'm not sure if they moved cities in this one or not, but we'll see when I start reading it. And the third book on my TBR for this reading vlog is episode 13, by the author whose name escapes me. Right, so also don't remember what prompt this is for, but this is also a book for my book club that I have with Christina and my sister and a couple of other friends. And what do I know about this book? I know it's a horror because my sister picked it and she only picks horror. And I think it's a found footage horror story. I think we are following filmmakers who are making either a documentary or something. And they made 12 episodes, and the 13th one never aired because I think something happened to the dudes who are making these episodes. And I guess we go through the found footage to see what happened. I am going to start with Darkwater Daughter because I just want to finish it. I think I have like 5 hours left in my audiobook, so I might be able to do it today. We'll see how far I get. Okay, so I am now at 50% of the book, and I think I'm caught up. So we are following 2 points of view. One is Mary, and one is Samuel. Mary is looking for her mother. Both of them are storm singers. She is looking for her mother, not whatever I said before. And she's now on a pirate ship. Is she a pirate ship? Yeah, I think she's on a pirate ship. And they're traveling somewhere, and hopefully towards her mother. That's what I've gathered. The other character we follow, Samuel. Samuel used to be in the Navy, but he also has a magical ability to see the future, which is a big no-no. You're not supposed to do that. And he used to have a talisman, which Mary stole. They had a little meeting at the beginning of the book. Samuel also has a twin brother who also has powers, but his power is to some sort of mind control. And since his brother Benjamin is a rotten egg, he fucked up Samuel's life in a way that is kind of spoilery, so I'm not going to mention it here, but he fucked up his life, and he's the reason why Samuel is in the position he is right now. He's also on the ship looking for Mary because he needs his thing back. That's what's happening so far. Hi! It's the next day. I have finished Darkwater Daughter by H.M. Long, and generally I liked it. So where I left you, I have to add some details to the thing. So Mary is looking for her mother, who has been taken by this infamous pirate Lear. And Lear wants to take storm singers, so because they sing and the weather is nice, to get his ship through something, I think it's called the Wall of Storms or something, or I may be confusing that with the book by Ken Liu, because on the other side of this big Wall of Storms is an island filled with treasure, and that's what we've been told the entire book. And Samuel needs to get Mary so that he can capture the infamous pirate Lear, and that's basically the premise of the book. When you get into it, you learn that Lear has some other goals than treasure. It's basically him using the magic of the world for himself. Because the storm singers, when they sing, at least Mary when she sings, and we find out later why that is, she sort of meets harpies, which are like creatures living in the wind and such. And we also learn that there are creatures, magical creatures that live in like specific trees and specific like wood objects and stuff. So it gets complicated as it goes. One of the gripes I have about this book is that they have introduced a possible villain in Sam's brother Benjamin, and I just kept expecting, because of his magical power is that he can influence people. He can basically turn moods, and he can make you do things that you wouldn't necessarily do, right? So he does have a very fucked up moment with Mary, and because he's presented as in he's broken morally, and he also is jealous of Sam. And I was worried for the last part of the book. I was just waiting for Benjamin to do something horrible to fuck up the plans that they had, but that didn't happen. Actually, the book it has a very rounded ending, so if you wanted to stop there, you could. But there are 2 more books in this trilogy. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to continue. It was an interesting read. I liked it. Right, so that's one book read. My next book is this one, A Drop of Corruption. And what did I say? Basically, a dude gets kidnapped from an impenetrable tower, and Anna and what's the guy's name? Dinius are on the case. So yeah, I will be reading that today. All right, it's 3 p.m. Winter. It's cloudy outside, so it's like awful. Anyway, I have gotten to 30% of my book, and yeah, it's fine so far. The locked room mystery was solved quickly. in the first 20% of the story, Din and Anna are investigating a murder of treasury officer in this, what do we call this? A neighboring territory that is about to become the territory of the empire. And this territory is significant because the Leviathans that I mentioned before. So in this world, this capital of the empire or whatnot is on the seacoast. And during the wet season, Leviathans, which are these ginormous creatures, and try to attack the city, whatever. They are just going through the walls and stuff. And in the city or territory that we are in right now in the second story, in the second book, there is the graveyard of these Leviathans. It's a graveyard where people work because people in this world use Leviathans, parts of Leviathans, for their own augmentations and medicine and whatnot. And these augmentations make people hear better, smell better. You can enhance senses. You can enhance mathematical abilities. You can do a lot of things. Din's augmentation is that he can associate a memory with a smell. So when he is investigating, he smells some specific scent, and he can then later recall everything he's seen and focused on while smelling this thing. So yeah, various augmentations and such. So in this graveyard, people work in this Leviathan graveyard, and we have found out through the story that the dude who is doing the crime, let's put it like that, is somehow connected to the graveyard and whatever work has been done there. There's also talk about the people of this territory and their thoughts on becoming part of the empire. It's fine so far. I mean, I was kind of surprised that the mystery that was put in the summary of the book, that it was solved so quickly. But we now have a much broader mystery that might affect things. I'm now gonna go chill a little bit. I'm now up to the point. I have a cold, and now I'm at the point of my cold where I have to drink special medicine drinks. So awesome. Oh my god, that's disgusting. Oh, that's awful. God. I mean, I love how they've put citrusy stuff, so it would taste, but that's awful. Oh, yeah. Okay. It's the next day. I am now at almost 50% of the book. I think I'm at 45. We have gotten into biological weapons territory. There is a compound that is connected to Leviathans that can be used as a weapon. And there is someone who has worked with Leviathans in the past that's been doing that. We don't know who it is. Yeah, and this dude used it to turn them all into plants. It was very strange. Basically, but this dude used it as a biological weapon and killed a bunch of smugglers so far. We'll see what happens next. I'm also really noticing the details of the world building. So Din and a group of local wardens went to investigate a smuggler site that is somehow connected to the crime. And there they found a bunch of people felled by this bioweapon thing. And the moment they saw something was wrong, they put on protective gear, like a mask and stuff. And when they came back from the thing, they were in quarantine. So everybody had a procedure what to do if you come in contact with something suspicious. And I thought, I was oh my, that's an interesting detail to have. And also the doctor that was with them, was a field medic, had the people there bioengineered a fly that can it's not a fly, it's a tick that takes your blood, and then if you're poisoned, it dies. If it doesn't, just keeps on drinking your blood. So yeah, really just the level of detail in the world building was really cool. Still drinking that. Okay. It is the next day, and I have finished this one. I finished it yesterday evening. The last half was interesting. It was fast-paced because we were getting to the mystery of it all, getting the clues, figuring out who is who did what, and why did that happen. And it all ended, as in the first book, on a very satisfactory conclusion. And there is an opening for this series to continue. And I saw on Goodreads that the third book has a title. Doesn't have a cover yet, but it does have a title. Overall, I liked it. I didn't have as much fun as I did in the first one, but I think that is because the first one had this new fascinating concept. I mean, not new as in like nobody's ever done this before, but in that current scheme of fantasy, the first one was something new and exciting, and it was really a fun read. This one was also a fun read, but not as exciting as the first one because you are expecting the things from the first book to happen in this one. So yeah, if you're looking for a fantasy mystery with Sherlockian-like characters, and technically, you could say that the villain is similar to a very famous Sherlock villain, so connections could be made. So yeah, if you're looking for something like that, please read this one. Read the first one if you haven't already, just to see if you are vibing with the world. So yeah, read this. Now, the last book on my TBR is going to be episode 13 by someone, the Louis. It's a found footage horror story, so yeah, we'll talk about it when I read some. But, now, more medicine. It just keeps getting worse. Ugh. I have now read 26% of episode 13 by Craig DeLuey. And in this book, we follow a group of paranormal investigators who are making a show. We follow a husband and a wife. A husband is a true believer. A wife is a scientist. She has a PhD in physics, and she's like the cynic of the show. She's also looking to leave the show. Another person in the group is a former detective. I think his name is Gavin. He says he had an encounter with a demon, so he's very into this stuff. There is an actress, Jessica. She's there to round out their group. She basically just reacts to things. There's also a cameraman whose name escapes me right now, but whatever. So they're now filming episode 13 of their show Fade to Black. And in this episode, they are investigating a haunted house. This is a house that in the 60s or 70s, a bunch of scientists bought to do some experiments. And at one point, all of them just vanished. So they're in this house and, going through papers, going through documents, trying to figure out what happened and filming it for an episode of their show. So over 25% in, there are some happenings, but it's nothing too serious so far. They put some objects on the table and they drew a border around it and left it overnight, and then they came back and some of the things were moved. So they're now looking into that. Other than that, the actress Jessica keeps sneezing, so I don't know, maybe that's a thing. And other than that, nothing seriously scary or anything has happened. So yeah. The audiobook is it's different in a way that there is a cast of characters. So there are a bunch of voice actors doing the reading. There was a part in this first third where, so these people who were investigating stuff in the house, but previously, the previous scientists who are missing, they made a bunch of movies, and there was a description of one of the movies they made. And the background music for that description was very upbeat because they're like hippies, and they're like the stuff that was shown in this movie were like them sitting around smoking pot and listening to music and just hanging out, eating and whatnot. And the last part of this footage was footage of a finished experiment of a woman being like freaked out and whatnot, crying. And the scientists, I don't even know what they're investigating. I mean, I should pay more attention. The scientists were like, "Oh my God, we did it!" And like this woman who was like crying and in this strapped to a chair, then like had a very demonic smile. But the background music was very hippie-like and upbeat, so it didn't really work. But yeah, we'll see what happens next. I have to go back through the notes to see what the scientists were experimenting. Okay, I just found it. The researchers believed that paranormal powers reside in all of us, dormant in our DNA. They were members of Human Potential Movement, which believed humanity only used a fraction of its potential, intelligence, and ability. Okay, they wanted to identify paranormal abilities in people, discover the underlying mechanisms, and learn how to train and develop them to make a utopia. And I guess something went wrong. It's the next day. When I finished reading yesterday, I got to 50% of the book, and things were developing. So after their first supernatural event, the group was very gung-ho to going back in and investigating and making their show. The event affected people, so each person differently, and there were various reactions. And the most like fascinating one was Claire, who is like the skeptic, now being very gung-ho into like, oh yeah, okay, so this is real. Now let's see if we can like prove it scientifically and whatnot. And you get to see like people stop pretending to be something that they're not. Like people have started like showing a bit of their true selves. I'm talking about Kevin, the former cop. No, is Kevin the former cop? Yes, I think Kevin is the former cop. I'm talking about him. Throughout the story, he was like, I'm okay to just be the investigator, like to be the not be the muscle, but like he's there because like he used to be a cop and whatnot. And as the story goes on, he's like, well, at some point they're going to need a leader, and I'm going to be that person who's going to step in and lead because I'm that guy. The next half of the book is just things slowly falling apart, things getting like supernatural events getting progressively worse and worse and more dangerous, and then they found a maze, and there was like. And then the ending. I was not happy with the ending. Overall, it wasn't that scary. And the one thing that kind of ruined the scary factor of this is the audiobook. Because I listened to the audiobook and I followed along on the ebook. Because there are some things that the audiobook doesn't show you, doesn't describe. And some of the performances of the actors kind of ruined the whole thing. Because it's at some points, to me, it seemed a bit overdramatic. And kind of was like, rolling my eyes because because of the performance of that. And anytime we would get like a snippet of the original scientists that were in the building doing their experiments, you would have like this background music, like music of the 60s. So it's like upbeat and hippie-like. You would like read the reports that the scientists did. They did experiments on volunteers in trying to connect them to the supernatural or try to find their supernatural abilities and whatnot. And, if you just read it, it would have been much creepier and much scarier, but the background music kind of ruined the whole thing. It did get tense at some points, but, overall, the sort of explanation of what was happening in the house was kind of, okay. I don't know. I thought it would be more. And yeah. So yeah, I finished it. And with that, I finished the 3 books on my TBR. So now you can see the current state of my Reddit Fantasy Bingo Challenge. First, I finished Dark Water Daughter by H.M. Long for the Recycle Bingo Square. And I chose to recycle a bingo square from last year's, which was Bard, where the prompt was to read a book with a bard in it. And in this book, our main character is sort of a sea witch. She basically sings and controls the weather and thus helps people on ships travel.
Then I finished A Drop of Corruption. It's over somewhere, which was my pick for the prompt, published in 2025. It was pretty cool. And this book, so episode 13, would be my pick for the epistolary prompt. So this is a found footage horror story. So you are reading lots of reports and transcripts and diary entries from all the characters, emails and texts as such. So it fits in the epistolary prompt. So yeah, that's my reading vlog done for this. If you have read any of the books that I've mentioned and you want to share your thoughts, please do so down below in the comments. If you're participating in Reddit Fantasy Bingo, tell me, how far along are you? How are you doing? I am now currently at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I'm like halfway done. But I'm behind. I need to read more of that. Thank you so much for watching. Press the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!